All right, to get this pump mounted, I'm going to be putting it where the old one used to be, and then running a line inside the cab so I'm not sucking in a bunch of dust into the filter. I cut me a 5x10 inch piece of 1/4 inch plate, drilled, and we'll mount that there, something like that. And then I'm going to scoot that forward and cut the frame. none of the grommets I have are going to work in this thick steel here, so I'm just going to wrap this with some electrical tape. Alright, there's the new vent location. Not really sure what those are in there though. Kind of look like one-way valves. Maybe? I don't know. Might need to replace those. They look kind of aged. I'll have to look up later. Or if anybody knows, let me know what those are. They kind of look like valves. Let's pressure out but not in. I don't know. Basically a vent for the tank. It's looking a whole lot better. That thing is heavy. It's gotta be like 80 pounds. Alright, got this cleaned up. Also cleaned up along these edges since this thing is only stitched. Only a few spots. This was actually dented pretty well from something probably dragging on the ground when it went over a bump or something. Hit something, that was bent out. I hammered that in, hammered this flat. Yeah, it's a pretty weak welding job on that. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this all up, make this good and sturdy since that's now going to be part of the frame. Got some welding on the back side of this, or the bottom part of this, the back side of the bottom part of the plate, or the bottom part of the plate. Alright, got this good and beefed up. Gonna finish welding across here and on the back side, but I ran out of welding gas, so I'll finish that a little bit later. Alright, just picked up another tank of 7525. Shouldn't have bought the cheap one. You have to do some regulator shopping later. Got some reinforcement tabs on the bottom there. Alright, that is one beefed up trailer hitch. It's also the back support for the framework, and I'm going to build a bumper off of that, so I wanted it good and strong. Added a bunch of reinforcement. Going to be trying to tow a 5,000 plus pound truck, so I wanted to make sure this was all good and sturdy. So we got things triple welded on the side, braced up on the top, braced on the back. It was welded and reinforced with plate on the bottom, and this will be impossible to break. We'll break the hitch or the ball before I ever break this thing off of here, but I decided to add some extra peace of mind with these 15,000-pound D-rings, which I will use to attach safety chain to the truck. Also, these are reinforced with 1/4-inch plate on the inside here, just in case I ever want to use these for towing or getting pulled out of a sticky situation. Those are going to be extremely strong. So that right there will be plenty adequate for hauling heavy trailers or pulling a truck. And it's got the rear end all nice and solid. I'll figure out a bumper later. However, might run some pipe off of the side here or up here, a little bit off of that. Probably will do something here. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to do the bumper. I'll just figure that out as I go along. But I like it. That turned out great. Shaved off. Let's see how much feet I shaved off here. About where the bumper would be. Actually, the bumper sticks out a little farther than that. Looks like about 5 feet. Took 5 feet off of the frame. Awesome. That'll make it easier to get around in parking lots. This is reinforced air brake hose. I got some cheaper stuff here. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to save this for future repairs or modifications to the leveling system, just because that's some good quality stuff there. Picked one of these little mini filters up at the auto parts store for, I think, like 13 bucks, if I remember correctly. 13 and some change. fit, but I think that will squeeze down. Maybe something like this, so it hangs off to the side instead of sticking straight up. Work. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, that looks kind of cool actually. Alright, now that's one sweet looking little air compressor setup. That is much better than it used to be. It pulls clean, dry air from the cab. Good and solid. It's got the check valve. That is nice. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to wire it up later, but that needs power so I can lift up the back end. It's just sitting on the jack stands there. I'm going to build a framework out of 1.5-inch square tube. Just something simple like crossbar, 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 two down the middle, maybe another crossbar for a place to install some probably like some 3/4 inch OSB, something cheap. I could just put it down flat, but yeah, I guess there's enough room. It's gonna need some more reinforcement though, I think. I don't know, actually it might work out, just not doing the framework. That was my original plan, because the framework would give me a place to mount these two, but I could always do L brackets or something and mount the wheel wells to that. So yeah, there's plenty of clearance. Maybe I don't need to do that, but yeah, so at some point I'll make it just a simple something back here to walk on. I need to, these are good. I like the spacing on this. I'll keep, you know, some good support for a board. This is kind of weird. I don't know why these are so close together, but I think I'll either cut this off and move it out here just like that one, or yeah, that's probably what I'll do. That way it looks even. And then I can have some support out this way. I also need to build off some little bracket to mount that. And boy, yeah, moving along. I like what I'm seeing. I think actually next what I'm going to do is reinstall the bump stops. I already picked up some heavy duty grade 8 bolts. I'm gonna put the bump stops back in. These Sumo springs did not like the UV light. They weren't even in that much light, but they turned from yellow to that color, and they feel really stiff. I mean, looks like they are under pressure right now. I don't know, they still have some good flex to them. Either way, I'm not sure I really like them. I think I just want to go back to the original bump stops. I just didn't like how low the back end sat with the bump stops. It would get really, really low before it would set on the bumps. But these end up doing the same thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna put those back in. That actually might happen after I connect their compressor, so I can lift it up, get this back up where it should be. And then I'll have plenty of space to work on this. Right now it needs to come up much more higher. So yeah, air compressor needs to get hooked up next. I already pulled out the wiring for it. Some thicker, I think it's 10 gauge. It might be 12 gauge. No, I think that's 12 gauge. Big enough for current draw on the air compressor, so that's what this is for. Got a couple extra leads. I might even double up the positives so I can have extra accessories back there. Could use this as a signal wire. Coming up next, stay tuned.